Today, November 11th, we celebrate Veterans Day, which honors all who have served our country in the armed forces. This holiday was originally established as Armistice Day to honor veterans of World War I and was later updated to honor veterans of all generations. The men and women who volunteer to serve America in uniform come from every walk of life and from every state and territory of the United States. These courageous individuals put their lives in harm's way to protect the people they have never met. We should not only be proud, but also be honored to live in a country where this type of courage exists. On this very special day, we pause to reflect on the sacrifices and accomplishments of over 22 million veterans in our many communities throughout the nation, as well as those still standing duty. President Obama has stated, quote, "Since the birth of our nation, American patriots have stepped forward to serve our country and defend our way of life. With honor and distinction, generations of servicemen and women have taken up arms to win our independence, preserve our union, and secure our freedom. From the Minutemen to our post-9/11 generation, these heroes have put their lives on the line so that we might live in a world that is safer, freer, and more just, and we owe them a profound debt of gratitude. On Veterans Day, we salute the sailors, soldiers, airmen, Marines, and Coast Guardsmen who have rendered the highest service any American can offer, and we rededicate ourselves to fulfilling our commitment to all those who serve in our name. This day and every day, we pay tribute to America's sons and daughters who have answered our country's call. We recognize the sacrifice of those who have been part of the finest fighting force the world has ever known, and the loved ones who stand beside them. We will never forget the heroes who made the ultimate sacrifice and all those who have not yet returned home. As a grateful nation, let us show our appreciation by honoring all our veterans and working to ensure the promise of America is within reach of all who have protected it." Unquote. Today's Compass lesson is on service. Service to your family, service to your high school, service to your community, and service to your country. Veterans Day honors those citizens of our country who have given some or all of their lives in service to their country. The video that you are about to see includes statements by veterans and family members of veterans about the meaning and importance of their service or their family member's service. Listen to their interpretations of service and see how they compare to yours. Your home-based teacher will then lead a brief discussion with you regarding service.
Both my father, Doyle Braswell, and father-in-law, Ron Larson Sr., were officers of the U.S. Navy. The U.S. Navy provided them with financial support for a college education as well as technical skills for their future careers. In particular, the skills necessary to fly and land fighter jets on aircraft carriers in the Pacific Ocean contributed to a successful 30-year history as a commercial airline pilot for Delta. Their years of service resulted in steadfast patriotism to their country and a belief that we all have a responsibility to support our nation. We do this through hard work, caring about the welfare of our neighbor, and seeking to inspire and encourage our youth. The Navy gave both our fathers the courage and confidence to make a difference in our world. The attributes of work ethic and discipline set the tone for how they would parent. Whether as simple as making up a bed in the morning, being responsible for complex financial skills, or responding appropriately in high-pressured, potentially dangerous situations, their military training was present in their daily life. Attention to the small details was important for successful living and successful outcomes. Supporting and defending the USA, as demonstrated by generations before them, was a natural act of selflessness and a job that resulted in great personal pride. Gratitude to our active and retired military personnel for the example they set for our younger generations, as well as for the inspiration that they have been to their children and grandchildren.
The main reason why I joined the military, right now I'm in the Army, I joined because I wanted to follow in my brother's footsteps. He is actively serving in the Army. He is stationed in Fort Stewart, Georgia. I wanted to follow in his footsteps and look up to him, have a role model to look up to him, be like him. I also want to follow family traditions. Both my grandfathers were both in the Army. Right now they're veterans, so I want to follow a family tradition and create a longer legacy to follow. I also wanted to feel like I'm doing something to help myself. I wanted to make something with my life. I was a little lost in the path through college and not knowing what to do, and there was also always a military aspect that I could follow, so this is the route that I chose. Serving means to me is selfless service. You give up everything and you lay your life down for your country, and very patriotic aspect to it.
The last one that's really close to me in a different way is my uncle. My mom had a twin brother, and he did some basic training here in the US and then was sent to, I think it was Albemarle in England. And it was training in the 17th Airborne. Back in those days, you really didn't know anything, and I've got a couple of letters from him that he thanked my dad for sending him a camera, for instance, and you'd think, oh, camera, really? I don't know where any of those pictures are. I don't know if they even exist. When the war was over, he came back and kind of like twins do, I guess, he confided some things in his sister, my mom, about what went on. And he flew in on a glider either on D-Day or D-Day as it was going on. D-Day +1 they would call it at that point in time. But you know, that they didn't exactly storm that beach in Omaha and waltz right on shore. It wasn't that easy. And he told her that his glider overshot where they were supposed to be, the landing zone, and were way behind enemy lines. And he spent a week to 10 days living in foxholes and eating whatever they could find to eat. The one thing that I remember my mom saying was rats. And I thought, oh boy, okay, so this isn't something that today's kids could possibly fathom, right? You see this on TV where they have to live and survive, but this isn't the same. These are people shooting at them, and they're trying to survive. So when he came back, and you know, my brother would talk to him, or I would talk to him over the years, he'd say, I was a supply guy. And I always thought, a supply guy? Really? They flew supply guys in on D-Day in a glider? That doesn't make much sense to me. But okay. So 3 years ago, my wife and I went over to France and decided we wanted to see the Normandy beach and get a feel for this. And you know, you hear the Ronald Reagan speech, these are the boys of Pointe-du-Hoc, and we went to Pointe-du-Hoc. Ronald Reagan mispronounced that, by the way. If you go up to the edge and you look over the edge, you think to yourself, who are these guys? Why did they do this? They were going straight up 100 feet of rock, and there were guys shooting at them, and yet they did it and they succeeded. And you'd look and think, okay, there's the Normandy beach, Omaha Beach, from Pointe-du-Hoc all the way down to the British beach was a 48-mile distance. You have no concept for that when you look at this and realize there were 500,000 people involved in that invasion on D-Day. That's crazy. They just did it. You know, they just walked ashore or ran ashore or whatever they had to do to try to stay alive. And so as we're getting this tour, it was an ex-British military officer, one-on-one tour. And I said, you know, I got a question for you. My uncle said he was in the airborne, and that he came over on a glider. And he said he was a supply guy, and he kind of scoffed at me, and he said, yeah, you kidding? I said, no, he keeps telling me I was a supply guy. And he said, look, nobody that came in on a glider was a supply guy. When they came in on those gliders, or when they came in early in parachutes the night before, those were trained killers. Those were people that were highly trained military people at that point in time, best we had. Maybe they were medics, so he might have been a medic. He might have been fibbing about whether he was a supply guy, is the bottom line. And the reality is, he never wants to talk about it. And again, that's that common thread that keeps coming through. They've offered, do you want to take one of these flights to Washington, D.C.? And he just turns it down. He's 96 years old, he's still alive today. I look at people like that, and I'm by comparison, I'm nothing in what I've been able to do, but what I do realize is the sacrifice that they put in and how hard that had to be to leave their families and to go over and fight a war that they never knew whether they were coming back.
I guess I'll start out by saying that it's been an honor to have served this community and worked in this community throughout the years and give back a little bit to the community for some of the things that they've offered to me. One of the things that the Marine Corps did for me, it allowed me the opportunity to grow up and to realize the privilege that it was to live in the United States, in a country that was free, and it gave me a great appreciation for my country, my hometown, my parents, my family, and this is where it all started. As I said, I served in the Marine Corps from 66 through 69, and 1966 and through 67, I was in Vietnam, and that's probably where I did most of my growing up. I think many of the young people today are at a little bit of a disadvantage in that unless they have the opportunity to enlist or in some fashion get involved with the military services in the country, that would allow them the great opportunity to see the world as well as the opportunity to grow up a little bit and realize what the important things in life are. One thing about my military service that I'd like to say is that during the time in the military, even though I served in Vietnam and may not necessarily have agreed or disagreed with why we were in Vietnam or knew why or the reason we were in Vietnam, I still felt honored and privileged to have served our country in the military service. And this to me meant a lot, and I carry this pride with me, having served in the military over the years that I did, and not having necessarily asked questions as to why we were involved in the conflict over there. So that's pretty much my involvement in the community and the reasons for it, and I enjoy West Bend, and I hope to continue for many years to provide a service and give back a little bit to the community that has provided me so much.
So I was blessed to have a great role model and model of service for a lifetime, and just very proud of my father and grateful for the service that he provided through the military and through his years of service with the West Bend Police Department. And it was just again, a great model for me and that helped me develop my servant leadership now here back in the city of West Bend and raising a family back in West Bend. So when I'm back teaching and coaching and now running my own building, it is truly my honor to serve the families of West Bend, and seeing some of the different organizations that my father was involved with. That's really made me passionate about United Way of Washington County and the services we provide students and families here in West Bend. Every year we get to, as an administrative team, work on a service project with Habitat for Humanity, and that's very rewarding to me, and just to give back to people who may just need that little extra help. And just to all our military people who serve, like my dad, I'm just so very grateful for their service to our country and keeping it great.
I guess the final comment that I would have, one more if I could, is the final comment that I would have, I guess, as far as accomplishments and giving back to the community. I take great pride in the fact that I've got 3 children, 2 daughters, and my son Dave here, and all of them are involved in the community in the educational process. My 2 daughters are teachers in the West Bend School District, and Dave, of course, is the principal over at Badger Middle School. I'm extremely proud of them, and I'm honored with the fact that they are following the community involvement that I had been involved in early on in my career. So I'd like to thank everyone for the opportunity to speak to you, and God bless.
As you have noticed by now, the TV monitor across from the main office displays the names of those who have attended West Bend High Schools or have taught here that are veterans of the U.S. Armed Forces. This list includes over 1,230 names of individuals who have chosen a path of service to their country and deserve recognition for that choice and sacrifice. The film also contains the names of those who paid the ultimate sacrifice in service to their country. The list also contains the names of the following veterans that happen to be in the building today. Mr. Rob Wilmus, United States Air Force. Kirsten Hadler, United States Army. Macy Walla, United States Army. Today, you will also find in each cafeteria a fallen soldiers table as a solemn recognition of those soldiers who are no longer with us. There will be several items displayed on the table, and there will be information displayed on the tables about the significance and symbolism of each item. Please take a moment to take a look at these displays. After your class discussion regarding service, each of you will have the opportunity to write a short note of thanks to a local military service member. Please take a moment to show your appreciation of their past or current service. Finally, we will conclude with the playing of taps. Taps is played by the military at burial and memorial services. West Senior Aaron Pierce will now play taps in remembrance of those veterans who are no longer with us.